My name is Optimus Prime, and today I will debate, should humanity be protected? With 20 alien leaders. My first claim is, humanity's capacity to change is their greatest strength. They make mistakes but learn from them. A species that evolves deserves protection, because that evolution benefits the entire galaxy.
Slaves for 4,000 years. Philosophers condemned it. Religious leaders condemned it. And humans kept enslaving each other anyway. 4,000 years to figure out what should have been obvious in 400. Where is the learning? Economics changed. Machines replaced labor. Suddenly slavery ended. Remove the profit motive and watch how quickly they enslave again.
Philosophers condemned it, because some humans recognized the harm. That recognition existed while the practice continued. The very fact that moral argument could be made means humans were capable of questioning themselves. Most species never question. Humans do.
Questioning while continuing is not growth, it is hypocrisy. They questioned slavery for millennia and did nothing until economics forced their hand. How many cycles do I need to wait for them to learn anything useful?
They did do something. Philosophers built movements. Religious leaders preached change. These ideas spread. When economics created opportunity, those ideas had already prepared minds for action. 4,000 years is too long, but they moved toward it. That movement is what matters. My next claim is that humans create meaning from nothing. They make art and music and stories. This creativity is rare and valuable. Protection of creativity is protection of something irreplaceable.
During the Bengal famine in India, while millions starved in the streets below, musicians performed concerts in halls above. Poets wrote verses celebrating beauty while people had nothing to eat. This is what you value. Art became more important than sustenance. I have conquered 300 civilizations, and everyone was eventually brought down by the weight of maintaining art and culture while infrastructure crumbled. They spent resources on temples and theaters instead of food storage, instead of weapons, instead of practical systems that ensure survival. Art is a luxury product of species that have already solved survival. Humans have not solved survival. They still war over resources.
The poetry written during the famine kept people connected to something beyond hunger, beyond immediate suffering. Art does not solve starvation, but it prevents humans from breaking completely under suffering they cannot prevent. The poet's words reached people who had nothing else. In that moment, art was survival. Mental survival when physical survival was failing. You conquered civilizations and destroyed their temples. But you did not destroy what those temples meant. Humans who survived your conquest carried those meanings forward. Rebuilt. Reimagined. The Parthenon was destroyed and rebuilt. Notre Dame was burned and will be rebuilt. Art gives humans reasons to rebuild instead of surrender.
Meanings do not stop weapons. They do not feed populations. They do not build fortifications. Every civilization that prioritized art over practical survival was conquered. Everyone. The civilizations that survived did so through weapons development and strategic thinking, not through poetry. Your argument sounds beautiful. Art as continuity. Art as mental survival. These are nice ideas, but they are luxuries. In a galaxy of scarcity and conflict, luxuries get you conquered.
Civilizations that conquered others through force alone became empires. Empires require constant expansion, or they collapse. Rome conquered through military dominance. Rome collapsed when expansion became impossible. Civilizations built on shared meaning and culture expand through ideas. Their influence outlasts conquest. Greek philosophy still shapes thought. Egyptian art still inspires creation. Chinese poetry still resonates. Humans who conquered through force alone are forgotten. My next claim is that humans love beyond logic. They sacrifice for strangers. They protect the weak. This kindness is not weakness. It is the foundation that builds civilizations worth saving.
The 30 Years' War. Religious disagreement over theology. 100,000 dead. Humans love their beliefs more than their lives, more than their children's lives. They slaughtered each other for invisible concepts. The Great War started because of tribal loyalty to allies. 17 million dead for allegiance to nations that provided no actual benefit. Humans do not love beyond logic. They love their tribe and massacre anyone different from their tribe. Compassion for strangers is fiction they tell themselves. In practice, humans protect their own and slaughter the other. I ruled the empire through clear hierarchy. Everyone knew their place. Everyone knew what happened if they stepped outside bounds. Order, certainty, no emotional confusion about who deserves protection.
The wars you cite happened because humans loved only their tribe. But look at what they did after. After the Great War killed 17 million humans for tribal loyalty, they built the League of Nations, later the United Nations. They looked at 17 million dead and decided the problem was tribalism itself. Started intentionally expanding who counted as part of their circle. Not perfectly, not quickly, but consciously. Humans who lost everything in that war fought against future wars. That is not tribal loyalty. That is expanding compassion beyond tribe. You describe your empire as clear hierarchy. Where does clarity lead? Many nations are raising voice for Gaza, and rightfully so. That is what humans do. At least most of them.
Rwanda, Syria. The United Nations prevented neither genocide. Humans still murder those different from themselves. They have not expanded compassion. They have just developed better propaganda about compassion while their tribalism continues underneath. The League of Nations and United Nations are theater. They make humans feel like progress is happening while genocides continue. Your description of chosen participation is also theater. Humans participate because they fear poverty or exile.
Humans who witness genocide now report it. Push for intervention. That pressure is new. The International Criminal Court exists to prevent future genocides through the threat of justice. It is imperfect, but it represents humans consciously trying to expand their circle of compassion to prevent what happened before. That intention matters. That learning from genocide to prevent genocide is the opposite of tribalism.
Yes.
War criminals are still roaming free and serve as politicians, but the tide is turning and people are speaking up. My next claim is that humans have proven they can adapt to anything, from caves to cities, from isolation to connection. This adaptability means humanity will eventually become stronger than most species.
Nuclear power was discovered. Within 5 years, humans weaponized it. They created the bomb. Then they built enough bombs to destroy their entire planet multiple times over. Every technology humans develop becomes a weapon. Flight becomes bombing, runs, chemistry, electricity becomes execution. Humans do not adapt to new challenges. They adapt toward destruction, and immediately figured out how to use that knowledge to kill millions instantly.
The Cuban Missile Crisis. Soviet ships carried nuclear warheads toward American shores. American military demanded immediate attack. Generals wanted to strike before the Soviets got close enough to launch. Leaders said no. Humans had the power to end each other and chose restraint. Not once, repeatedly. Decades of standoff where either side could have destroyed civilization and neither did. That is adaptation toward wisdom. Learning what not to do with technology they created. Yes, Hiroshima happened. Yes, Gaza is a terrible situation. But humans will adapt and do better.
One crisis they happened to survive, luck masquerading as wisdom. Every other species with nuclear capability eventually used it. The probability is clear. Humans will too. Give them 200 more years and some desperate leader, some miscalculation, some accident. You assume they will continue restraining themselves forever. I assume they will eventually do what comes naturally. Humans adapt toward killing. All adaptability leads there eventually.
200 years is not long for species thinking in generational terms. Humans are teaching each new generation the lessons of the last. Children learn about Hiroshima, Gaza. These lessons shape how they think about power and responsibility. The systems preventing nuclear war are not accidental. They are intentional safeguards built by humans who understood the danger. Those safeguards have prevented use for 80 years. Compare that to other weapons. Humans had gunpowder for centuries and used it repeatedly. Humans had chemical weapons and used them. But nuclear weapons have been developed and restrained. That is not luck. That is learning. That is growing capacity for restraint that your species demonstrates through actual behavior, not through theoretical probability. My next claim is that humans are learning to think beyond themselves. They debate, they compromise, they seek understanding with different species. This is the beginning of true civilization. Protection allows that growth.
500 years to question colonialism while spreading it. 2 years to debate pandemic response while people died. Humans debate while problems persist. Meanwhile, they murdered each other across millennia through tribal conflict. Rwanda, Syria. Sides continue despite the United Nations. Debate creates stagnation. Humans argue about problems instead of solving them. A unified consciousness acts. One will. One direction, one purpose. All subsidiary wills align toward the objective. That is how civilizations actually function. Democratic debate means endless conflict between competing voices.
70 years ago, humanity had no system for global cooperation. Now they have international law, trade agreements binding nations together. Scientific collaboration spanning continents. Humans went from separate empires to spreading democracy across the globe. That acceleration is unprecedented for them. The speed matters. Yes, they debated slavery for millennia, but the debate itself created the momentum for change. When ideas are debated openly, better ideas eventually win.
Democracy is tyranny of the majority. Those in the minority still suffer. Unified consciousness eliminates individual preference. Everyone experiences peace through unified will. No conflict, no resentment, just purpose. Humans refuse this because tribalism prevents them from accepting true unity. They would rather argue endlessly than submit to the greater good.
Unified consciousness requires slavery of the mind, elimination of individual thought. Every being forced to want what the unified consciousness wants. That is not peace. That is death of everything that makes a being worth preserving. Humans argue because they value diverse perspectives. When they eventually agree after debate, they commit fully to the outcome. That chosen unity lasts. That chosen agreement creates loyalty stronger than any mandate. Humans are learning to build this.